Before we start, one of these cast members walked away from Hollywood entirely. One passed away mid-series, and one became more famous for falling apart than for the show that made him a star. 2.5 Men looked like easy laughter, a beach house, a broken family, and jokes sharp enough to make chaos feel comfortable. But that is exactly why it hits differently now. Because while the beach house stayed the same in our memory, the people inside it did not. Some rose higher, some unraveled in public, and some are now gone. This is 2.5 Men, then and now. And we are starting with the one who changed everything, the one the show was literally built around, until it wasn't. Charlie Harper was 2.5 Men, not just the lead character, the pulse of the entire show. The jingle writer with a Malibu beach house, a liquor cabinet always within reach, and absolutely no interest in growing up. Charlie Sheen, born September 3, 1965, was 38 when the show premiered in 2003, and he played Charlie with a dangerous ease that blurred the line between performance and persona. That was the magic, and eventually, the problem. What made the character work was not just the womanizing or the one-liners, it was the confidence. Charlie moved through life like consequences were optional. That swagger gave the sitcom its pulse. Yet the role worked because now and then, usually with Jake, small flashes of real affection slipped through the selfishness. Those moments made Charlie more than just reckless. After the show, Sheen's public life became as famous as the sitcom itself. Career turmoil, personal controversy, a reputation forever tied to his turbulent departure from the series. Even so, he continued appearing in television, film, and public interviews, never fully disappearing from pop culture. In 2026, he is 60. Charlie Harper endures because he was the kind of sitcom character television does not make often anymore. Outrageous, funny, destructive, and just human enough to keep you watching. And the man who replaced him? He had to walk into the most impossible job in television. Stay with us. Before we get to Walden, we have to stop here, because this one matters. Berta was the voice that kept 2.5 Men honest. The housekeeper who could walk into Charlie's beach house, look at the wreckage of everyone's choices, and cut through it all with one brutal line. Conchata Ferrell, born March 28, 1943, was 60 when the series began in 2003, and she turned what could have been a throwaway side character into one of the show's secret pillars. Berta was loud, sarcastic, unimpressed, and almost always right. She treated Charlie's charm, Alan's self-pity, and the household's endless dysfunction with the same cigarette-roughened contempt. Yet underneath the insults there was loyalty, especially toward Jake. That warmth is what kept Berta from becoming just a machine for one-liners. Ferrell's timing made her unforgettable. Her long career in film, television, and stage gave the role a lived-in authority few sitcoms ever get from a supporting player. Her performance earned Emmy recognition as well. Conchata Ferrell passed away on October 12, 2020, at 77. Berta remains one of the great sitcom housekeepers, because Ferrell made her feel like the only adult in the room, even when she was insulting everyone in it. And now, the cast member who actually walked away. Jake is the sleepy, snack-loving center of the storm, the kid who grows up surrounded by adults making terrible choices and somehow seems the least worried about any of it. Angus T. Jones, born October 8, 1993, was only 10 years old when 2.5 Men began in 2003. His effortless deadpan helped make Jake one of the show's secret weapons. At first, Jake is just the child caught between Alan's panic and Charlie's irresponsibility. But over time, he becomes something funnier and sadder. A boy drifting into adolescence with very little direction and a front-row seat to two grown men who rarely know what they are doing. What made Jake memorable was how natural he felt. Lazy, blunt, food-obsessed, and often hilariously detached. But there was also something honest in the way he reflected the messy world raising him. After stepping away from the series, Jones also stepped away from Hollywood for long stretches. He shifted his focus to education, faith, and a far more private life, with only limited returns to acting. In 2026, he is 32. Jake stays with audiences because he was never just the half in the title. He was the quiet reminder that children absorb more than adults ever realize. Up next, the man handed the most impossible job in TV. Step into a dead man's beach house. Try to make people forget Charlie Harper. Good luck. Walden arrives as the man who had everything, except stability. The billionaire who crashes into the series after Charlie's exit and somehow brings a completely different kind of loneliness into the Malibu house. Ashton Kutcher, born February 7, 1978, was 33 when he joined the show in 2011. He gave Walden a softer, more vulnerable energy than the series had ever built itself around before. Walden is rich, attractive, and wildly successful in business. Yet emotionally, he often feels like a lost teenager with too much money and no idea how to use it to build a life. That contrast is what made the character work. His friendship with Alan became one of the later years' key dynamics, built on shared need, bad decisions, and a strange kind of emotional dependence that was oddly touching. Kutcher had already been a major television and film star before joining the series. After the show, he became just as well known for tech investing, philanthropy, and anti-trafficking activism as for acting. In 2026, he is 48. Walden remains memorable because he gave the show a second life, proving that chaos does not always come from vice. Sometimes it comes from a man who has everything and still does not know how to be happy. Alan is the nervous center of Two and a Half Men, the man forever trying to hold on to dignity while life keeps taking it away. One bill, one divorce payment, and one humiliation at a time. Jon Cryer, born April 16, 1965, was 38 when the series began in 2003. And he turned Alan into far more than just the unlucky brother sleeping in Charlie's beach house. Alan is cheap, insecure, over-anxious, and often ridiculous. But Cryer always lets the desperation underneath show, which is why the character works. Beneath the whining and penny-pinching is a man trying, however badly, to be a father, survive embarrassment, and convince himself things might still improve. That balance made Alan the perfect anchor for the show's louder chaos. After Two and a Half Men, Cryer kept working steadily across comedy, drama, and stage, adding projects like Supergirl and continuing a long career many people forget started well before sitcom fame. In 2026, he is 61 and still active on screen. Alan remains unforgettable because he turned failure into a comic art form, yet somehow kept just enough hope alive to make viewers feel for him. Evelyn is the beautifully dressed, emotional earthquake at the center of the Harper family. The mother who can enter a room smiling and leave both of her sons psychologically flattened before the drinks arrive. Holland Taylor, born January 14, 1943, was 60 when Two and a Half Men began. She gave Evelyn sophistication, cruelty, wit, and just enough buried loneliness to keep the character from turning into a cartoon. Evelyn thrives on status, younger men, expensive taste, and verbal domination. But what makes her so memorable is how calmly she destroys people. Charlie and Alan's damage makes complete sense the second she walks on screen. Taylor's performance is all precision. Every line lands like it was sharpened first. Outside the sitcom, she had already built a major stage and screen career, and she continued adding to it through acclaimed work in television, film, and theater, proving again and again how brilliant she is at playing women who are smarter than everyone in the room and know it. In 2026, she is 83 and still widely respected as one of American acting's sharpest presences. Evelyn remains unforgettable because she turned maternal disappointment into an art form, and somehow made it hilarious. Rose is the smiling storm cloud hovering just outside Charlie's life, the neighbor whose sweetness is always one step away from obsession. Melanie Lynskey, born May 16, 1977, was 26 when she first appeared, and she made Rose one of the show's strangest and best creations. What should have been a one-note stalker joke became something far more memorable, because Lynskey played Rose with sincerity, intelligence, and emotional logic. Rose is unsettling, yes, but she is also weirdly tender, patient, and heartbreakingly hopeful in her own warped way. She drifts in and out of the series like a romantic threat Charlie can never quite shake. Every return carries that mix of comfort and danger that made the character so compelling. After the sitcom, Lynskey's career only grew stronger, especially in independent film and prestige television, where she earned major acclaim for emotionally rich work far removed from Malibu farce. In 2026, she is 49 and widely seen as one of the most respected actresses of her generation. Rose endures because Lynskey found the human ache inside the joke, and that made her impossible to dismiss. Judith is the ex-wife who never really leaves. The woman who divorces Alan, but somehow keeps controlling his money, his nerves, and half his life from a different address. Marin Hinkle, born March 23, 1966, was 37 when the series began. She played Judith with dry frustration, intelligence, and just enough realism to stop the character from becoming a simple villain. Judith is often sharp, critical, and exasperated, but she also feels like a woman who has spent years cleaning up after Alan's weaknesses and no longer has any patience left to hide it. That tension is what makes her funny. She and Alan do not just bicker because sitcoms need conflict. They feel like people who know exactly where the other person is most fragile. After 2.5 Men, Hinkle continued building a strong and increasingly acclaimed career, especially through dramatic work that showed a very different side of her range, most notably in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. In 2026, she is 60 and still highly regarded on screen. Judith remains memorable because she makes one painful truth very funny. Sometimes divorce does not end the damage, it just changes the mailing address. Dr. Freeman is the rare figure in 2.5 Men who sees the Harper men exactly as they are, and has absolutely no interest in softening the diagnosis. Jane Lynch, born July 14, 1960, was 44 when she first took on the role. She brought Linda the perfect mix of clinical patience, withering sarcasm, and deadpan authority. Her therapy sessions with Charlie and Alan are some of the smartest scenes in the series, because Linda is never truly shocked by what they confess. She is just deeply unimpressed. That composure makes every brutal observation funnier. Lynch was already a major comedic force before and during the show. Her later success only grew through Glee, hosting, voice work, and stage performances that made her one of the most recognizable comic talents of her era. In 2026, she is 66. Dr. Freeman remains unforgettable because she provided something the show always needed: a voice of reason sharp enough to survive inside a house built on denial. Chelsea is one of the few women who made Charlie Harper look genuinely unsettled. The kind of girlfriend who could not be distracted by charm, money, or a smooth excuse. Jennifer Taylor, born April 19, 1972, was 31 when she first appeared. She gave Chelsea exactly the calm confidence the role needed. Chelsea matters because she forces Charlie into territory he usually avoids: emotional honesty, responsibility, and the possibility of commitment. That does not magically transform him, but it does reveal a version of Charlie who is less invincible than he pretends. Taylor made Chelsea feel grounded. She is not there simply to admire him or punish him. She is there to challenge whether he is capable of becoming more than his habits. After the show, Taylor continued working in television and film, often in roles that leaned into the same strength and clarity she brought here. In 2026, she is 54. Chelsea remains important because she was not just another girlfriend in Charlie's orbit. She was the woman who made the audience briefly believe he might actually change. If this rewind brought it all back, stay with Rewind for more then and now stories from the shows that once made broken people feel like home.